One of the more recent videos I did, called Spider-Man 2, The Beauty of Breaking a Character, about a week ago, touched a lot on the hero's journey, and I'm here to talk a little bit more about it for the last time in a while, to avoid all my videos being about the same topic. So, I guess you could consider this video a part 2 to last week's video. Our shout out for this video, Jimmy Reyes, actually is the person who pointed out that I left a big part of Spider-Man's rebirth out of that video. I left out this moment right here.
Do you love me or not?
I don't.
The moment that cements Peter Parker's return to Spider-Man, and I left the portion of the video talking about this scene out for 2 reasons. One, I wanted to focus on this scene the most because I felt like, if you've seen Spider-Man 2, you already know the big rebirth scene, and I wanted to showcase what I think is the beginning of the rebirth, something that I feel like is maybe looked over sometimes. And 2, I wanted to save discussing this moment for the video you're watching now to avoid me sounding like a broken record. Now, if you haven't seen the title already, we're going to be discussing the hero's sacrifice, something that I think is crucial to a hero's journey, but also something I personally think would make a story feel almost empty without it. Now, with last week's video, I already feel like I've talked enough about the hero's journey for the rest of the year, but this is something that I really want to express out to the world. I firmly believe that every hero's story needs to involve a sacrifice of some sort, or else it's going to feel like the entire film was almost for nothing. Even Spider-Man Homecoming, a film that I feel has big troubles giving its protagonist consequences, has a sacrifice in it. Peter must ditch his homecoming date to save the Stark jet. Now, whether or not this is a good sacrifice or not is up to you, but nonetheless, it's a sacrifice. Now, why are sacrifices important, you may ask?
Sam, you risked your life to protect the cube.
No sacrifice. No victory.
Love or hate those films, this line is very true when you're telling a story. You don't want your hero's journey to feel easy. Your audience needs to feel the pain and struggle that your hero went through to get to this journey in order to feel the payoff really pay off at the end of the story. The sacrifice needs to mean something. The sacrifice makes your character more of a hero because your hero will most likely than not be left with a choice. Take the easy path that would benefit them or make a sacrifice for the greater good.
Gotta go. I'm sorry.
Now, if you're a fan of Spider-Man Homecoming, I just want to let you know, first and foremost, that I actually really do enjoy this film and I find it very entertaining, but I think the sacrifice that Peter needs to make in this film is simply just not good. At least not when you're comparing it to other superhero movies of this film's caliber. So, in order to clearly define what a good sacrifice is, I'm going to compare Spider-Man Homecoming to another film that pretty much does the same sacrifice as Homecoming, but better. And I'll get to explaining why it's better. First off, I'm going to explain why I think Spider-Man Homecoming's sacrifice is lackluster. Again, because I know people can get very angry over a kid's opinion on the internet. This is just an opinion, and I actually find this film very entertaining, but Peter Parker at this moment should have a lot to lose. But he doesn't. It doesn't feel like he does, at least. He should be having to make a big choice here, but it doesn't feel that way. Peter has the choice to either stay at the dance with Liz and let the jet get away, or make a sacrifice to save the jet. The only sacrifice Peter has to make in this film is ditching Liz at the homecoming dance. While you could argue that Liz leaving Midtown is a consequence of this sacrifice, she's only in the film to serve as Peter's love interest, and outside of that, they do nothing to make us care about her, so this just doesn't hit really hard when she leaves, so I don't care. And that's sadly how I feel about every other moment like this in the movie. I don't care. Why? Because every time Peter does something wrong, he faces no consequences. So that's how you do a sacrifice poorly. Now let's dive into how you can pull off a meaningful sacrifice. The final scene from Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man film. Now I was gonna continue with the scene I left out from the last video with Spider-Man 2, but these 2 scenes are actually pretty much the same, and during writing this I just decided that this scene just does it a bit better. After defeating Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, Peter, Harry, and MJ, and all the others, they all gather around Norman's grave to say their last goodbyes. Peter ends up visiting Uncle Ben's grave in that same trip, with MJ coming over to confess her feelings for Peter, this being a romance that has actually been emotionally built up over the course of the entire film, and MJ actually having a character. Peter realizes that if he brings MJ into this life, he will be putting her in danger, so He has a choice to make. He could confess his mutual feelings for her to benefit himself, yet put her in danger, or keep her safe and sacrifice any relationship they could have by throwing her in the friend zone. Are you noticing the similar pattern here? The sacrifices from both movies are relatively the same. So why doesn't Homecomings work? Let's break it down. In order to make a sacrifice mean something, you have to build to it properly. In Spider-Man 1, we are introduced to Peter and MJ's bond from the first time that we see Peter. Within the first 10 minutes, we learn that MJ is the girl next door that Peter has been gawking over for his entire life. Peter is set up to be a loser and a nobody, so we are rooting for him from the start because deep down, we all feel like losers and cheer for the underdogs. Then we're treated to some incredible intimate scenes that really get us rooting for this budding romance and getting us emotionally involved. So when MJ admits to finally loving Peter and wanting to be with him and he denies her for the greater good, it feels meaningful and it actually impacts us because we want to see these two together. Homecoming does close to none of those things. The closest we get to an intimate scene with Liz and Peter to build their relationship is this scene, but that's it. And from what the filmmakers give us, Peter only likes Liz because she's pretty. And I'm sorry, but that's just not enough to get me involved in this. And so the sacrifice in the end just feels so empty and I just don't care. There is no character to Liz Allen here. She is just here to serve as a love interest. Yes, the twist in Homecoming is one of the best twists I've seen in a movie in a while, but you know what could make it a better twist? If I actually gave a shit about Liz Allen. You don't want your story to feel easy. You don't want your audience thinking that your hero had it too easy. That is one of the major complaints that I see about Homecoming. People will care 10 times more about the victory of your story if your hero has to lose something to win the day. That way, your victory feels like it genuinely means something. It all feels more worth it because everything your hero needed to go through to get to this moment. It will also go a long way to show how strong your hero is. If your hero can go through hell and sacrifice everything that they wanted to win the day and still come out on top, that is going to make your hero so much more likable. So in order to make your sacrifice count, make sure you properly build up to it or else it's going to fall completely flat. Hey everybody, I really hope you liked the video. Also, I just want to state again that I actually really enjoy Homecoming. It's a super enjoyable movie. It's just the best example I had for this video, okay? Comment down below if we did a Patreon where you could only donate $1 or $5, nothing crazy, but just like $1. Would you guys donate to it to keep these videos going? Because we have a lot of projects we'd like to work on that, you know what, I think would be really, really cool. And it would actually help us a lot to have a little bit of donations coming in. So let me know down in the description below. I hope you guys liked the video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.